Genesis 1-2 describes the earth's initial state as without form and void. Darkness covered the surface of the deep, highlighting a lack of light. The Spirit of God was present, hovering over the face of the waters. This verse sets the stage for the transformative acts of creation. It establishes the pre-creation conditions that God would then reshape. The scene abstractly visualizes the universe immediately following Genesis 1-1. The visualization transitions from a broad cosmic view to a focus on Earth. This transition emphasizes the shift from general creation to Earth's formation. The depiction highlights Earth as a central element in the Genesis narrative. The scene captures the initial moments of Earth's existence within the cosmos. Tohu wa-bohu is a Hebrew phrase. It describes a state of waste. It also signifies emptiness. Additionally, it represents chaos. The phrase encapsulates these concepts. The scene depicts a desolate, desert-like landscape. This landscape visually represents the concept of Tohu. Tohu is characterized by emptiness and formlessness. The barren scenery emphasizes the lack of structure. This imagery directly illustrates the individual meaning of Tohu. The visual metaphor enhances understanding of the abstract concept. The concept of bohu is visually represented by an empty, undefined space. This visual reinforces the core meaning of bohu as emptiness. The undefined space signifies a void, lacking form or structure. This emptiness is a key characteristic of Tohu. Therefore, the visual metaphor effectively communicates the abstract idea of bohu. Tohu wa-bohu describes a state of utter formlessness and emptiness. The desolate landscape visually represents this emptiness. The empty space further emphasizes the concept of Tohu. The merging of landscape and space combines Tohu and bohu. This visual fusion illustrates the complete absence of form. The scene embodies the combined meaning of the phrase. Tohu wa-bohu is a Hebrew phrase with varied interpretations. Common translations include formless and empty. Another rendering is shapeless and void. Some interpret it as in darkness and covered by the deep. These translations offer different perspectives on the original meaning. Context is crucial for understanding the intended nuance. The scene begins with a completely dark screen, symbolizing the absence of light. This darkness represents the conditions before creation. It visually conveys the literal darkness described in the verse. The deep, all-encompassing blackness emphasizes the void. This stark visual sets the stage for the introduction of light. The deep is visualized as a vast, dark, and undefined ocean expanse. It represents a primordial state, lacking boundaries or distinct features. This watery expanse symbolizes the infinite and the unknown. The darkness emphasizes the mysterious and unexplored nature of the deep. The deep was once envisioned as a wild, untamed realm. Ancient readers perceived the ocean with a sense of mystery. This view contrasts with modern scientific understanding. Historical context shapes our interpretation of nature. The phrase, "the Spirit of God," Ruach Elohim, is introduced. This spirit is depicted as being present from the beginning. It is described as moving over the waters. This movement introduces a sense of dynamic energy. The presence of the spirit signifies a key element of hope. The visual depicts a gentle, subtle light hovering. It is positioned over a body of dark water. This symbolizes the Spirit of God's presence. The hovering light represents the Spirit. The animation subtly conveys the Spirit's essence. The dark waters provide a contrasting backdrop. Hovering suggests a gentle, protective presence. It evokes the image of a bird brooding over its young. This implies both care and potential for growth. It deepens the understanding of the Spirit's role. The image of a brooding bird serves as a visual metaphor. It connects the concept of hovering with care. The image also suggests protection and nurturing. This provides a relatable analogy for complex ideas. The presence of God's Spirit signifies hope. It also signals anticipation of future events. The Spirit embodies the power to bring order. It brings life where there was none. The Spirit provides purpose in chaos. This emphasizes the Spirit's positive influence. The scene begins with abstract shapes forming out of darkness. These shapes symbolize the initial potential for structure. This visual representation foreshadows a coming creation. The subtle emergence suggests a gradual organization. Order is not immediate but develops from chaos. The scene conveys the promise of future form. The visualization begins with subtle hints of color and light. These elements symbolize the potential for life to arise. This initial stage builds anticipation for creation. It suggests a transition from formlessness to life. God initiates a preparatory phase for creation. This preparation involves shaping the formless void. The divine plan includes dividing elements. God intends to fill the empty spaces. These actions set the stage for subsequent creation. It provides context for the rest of Genesis 1. The scene begins with a depiction of initial chaos and disorder. Elements of order gradually emerge, hinting at an impending transformation. This transition visually prepares the audience for a narrative of creation. The shift from chaos to order sets the stage for a story of formation. Genesis 1 to 2 is foundational for understanding creation. It sets the stage for a significant transformation. The transformation involves a shift from chaos to order. It also describes a change from emptiness to life. This verse highlights the power of divine creation. Even in its initial, unformed state, the earth remains under God's control. This foundational control underscores God's sovereignty over all creation. God's sovereignty means His supreme authority and power are absolute. Therefore, nothing exists or occurs outside of God's sovereign will. A subtle visual element is introduced to imply divine guidance. This element is designed to be unobtrusive, yet suggestive. It subtly indicates a guiding hand amidst initial chaos. The visual cue reinforces the concept of a higher power's control. This subtle reinforcement enhances the narrative's thematic depth. The text conveys a message of hope, suggesting that no situation is truly hopeless. Even in total darkness and formlessness, there is potential for positive change. These seemingly negative states can be the starting point for a divine plan. This plan aims to create beauty, order, and meaning from chaos. The conclusion encourages viewers to see beyond immediate despair. It promotes the idea that transformation and improvement are always possible. Genesis 1 to 2 describes the earth as formless and void. Darkness covered the surface of the deep. The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. This verse sets the stage for God's creative acts. Genesis 1 to 2 is presented not as a conclusion, but as an introduction. It serves as the opening to God's creative acts. This perspective encourages anticipation of divine creation. The verse evokes a sense of wonder regarding God's work.